Coming up, school children are ferried to hospital after their bus plunges down an embankment.
Is yours a toxic house? New research reveals how your home could be making you ill.
And how a Hollywood star is the winning ingredient for a life-size sponge. That's at 6. After a school bus left the road and plunged down an embankment earlier today, we've a special report from the scene. Details next.
Now the latest ITV News Central with Samina Ali Khan and Bob Warman.
Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of the programme. Coming up, school bus crash in Hereford. More than 20 people, most of them children, are taken to hospital.
Brainwashed? Friends of a suicide bomber from Derby, thought to have killed 8 people in Iraq, say he was easily led.
Is your home toxic? The new report which says where we live could be making us seriously ill.
And Worcester wait to see who they'll face in the second round of the FA Cup after their shock win over Coventry.
Good evening. More than 20 people, most of them children, have been taken to hospital after their school bus crashed and overturned in Hereford. 7 ambulances were called to the scene where the vehicle was found down an embankment with the female driver trapped inside.
Around 50 people were rescued by paramedics at the scene, with the driver and a further 25 pupils, thought to be aged around 14, taken to Hereford County Hospital. Our correspondent Mark Goff sent this report from the scene.
This accident happened at about 8:20 this morning. We're in Home Lacey, which is about 4 miles out of Hereford. And what we do know is that this coach was carrying some pupils aged about 14. We think there are about 50 pupils to 2 schools, the Bishop of Hereford Bluecoat Comprehensive School and St Mary's Roman Catholic High School. It's unclear yet how the coach came off, but police this afternoon told us that one of the lines of inquiry is that there was another vehicle involved in this accident. And in fact, some witnesses, we believe, have also said that they saw another vehicle which didn't stop. So that's obviously one line of inquiry for West Mercia Police this afternoon. 25 children were taken to Hereford County Hospital. We believe that they just had minor injuries, cuts and bruises. Some people were also treated at the scene, but the female driver of the coach was a bit more seriously hurt. She too was taken to hospital. Well, police this afternoon praised the pupils for getting themselves out of the coach safely. They also said it was quite fortunate where the coach actually came off the road on the embankment, because it landed on soft ground. But this evening, the focus of the investigation is to discover if there was indeed another vehicle involved in this crash this morning.
Next tonight to the biggest health crisis facing the NHS, and that's obesity. Earlier this year, the West Midlands was named the second fattest area in the country. And in Wolverhampton, 2/3 of people are obese or overweight.
An unenviable record. Well, today, health professionals joined business and community organisations in the city for a special obesity summit to try to reduce the problem. And to tell us more, we have the Director of Public Health at Wolverhampton City Council, Ross Jervis, and also the Chair of the British Obesity Society and lecturer at the University of Wolverhampton, Jane DeVille-Almond. Welcome to you both.
Welcome.
And Ross, tell us firstly, why did you have the summit today?
Well, when you've got statistics like 70% of your adult population is either overweight or obese, and over half of our adult population, they don't participate in any physical activity or active recreation at all. Our children are following suit. We've got the situation where our 4-year-olds, our reception classes, they're starting school, over 12% of them are obese, and this more than doubles to 26% by the time they're getting ready to move up into secondary school in year 6. They're 10 and 11 by the time they're in year 6.
Now, do you know why?
Well, Wolverhampton is like many deprived areas across the country. We've got a really diverse population, fantastically rich, but there are certain populations that are predisposed to certain illnesses. and predisposition to weight gain. We also have a situation where we've got a working class population, and we heard a fantastic story today from one of our member champions who's doing a very public-facing weight loss campaign, and he was talking to us all today about the fact that he came from a working class family, and it was accepted that they were all going to work down the factory, and now those factories have gone. But their eating habits and the habits within the family in terms of physical activity, you used to get your physical activity going to work, and then you needed to be fed in terms of, you know, the energy to do that physical work, and that just isn't there today. So it's a really complex picture. We haven't got all the answers. We don't know really all the causes of this, but what we do know is we've got to do something about it.
Okay, Jane, what do you want the public to do?
Well, one of the things that I loved about today is there was not loads about statistics, and it was all about action. There's two things in Wolverhampton. We want Wolverhampton folk to walk 1 million miles, and we want Wolverhampton folk to lose £1 million. And it started today. There's 229 miles walked today. So we want everyone in Wolverhampton to pledge to walk something, go on the website, and we want everyone in Wolverhampton to pledge to lose a bit of weight and put it on the website. So between us, we want Wolverhampton to be like not the fat capital of England, but the fit capital of England.
Because to be fair, some of your champion councillors are doing well, aren't they?
Oh, they're doing absolutely fantastically. We've got 3 member champions, Councillor Stephen Simpkins, Councillor Daniel Warren and Councillor Paul Sweet. And Councillor Paul Sweet won the record today. He's lost nearly 2.5 stone in 9 weeks. So we launched the Member Champion Obesity Challenge on the 5th of September, and we've been working down the gym together. We all had to do a health check, and they got their blood pressure read and their cholesterol level, and they've learnt about healthy diet, and we've got a buddy system going, so members of the public health team join the members in the gym, walking around our fantastic West Park, and really trying to do both things: a healthy diet as well as lots and lots of physical activity.
Well, we can see you're determined to make those miles count, and we know you're optimistic because we've got the Christmas period coming up, but we wish you all the best. Ros and Jane, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Now, in other news, road safety campaigners have condemned 2 drivers who appeared to bring their vans together on the motorway to pass a drink between the vehicles. It was caught by a dashboard camera by a motorist travelling behind along the M5 near Halesowen in September. Police say they're examining the footage to see if any offences have been committed and that they'll be contacting the drivers.
It's increasingly likely if you drive badly on the road, then you will be picked up by cameras, either by cameras in people's cars or on helmets, or by ANPR cameras or police cameras. So all the more reason just to think about what you're doing when you're driving.
Now, it's claimed that a relative of a British man from the Midlands who's believed to have carried out a suicide bomb attack in Iraq began developing radical views whilst at university.
Farid Hussein told ITV News that over the years, Kabir Ahmed's views became more and more radical, and that it got to the point where he hated everyone. Rajiv Papat reports.
This is Kabir Ahmed, the man suspected of killing himself and 8 people in northern Iraq by driving a truck packed with explosives into a convoy of Iraqi officials. It's believed Ahmed from Derby was a member of Islamic State. Farid Hussein, a cousin of Ahmed's mother, told me the news didn't come as a complete surprise to him.
Since he's been in Syria, you could expect anything, because his perhaps sole purpose for going out there was to take part in the civil war which is happening in that region, and he was taking one side with the Islamic State.
Did you try to speak to him about the sort of people he was mixing with?
I have spoken to him a number of times, but to be honest, I think once somebody goes that far, their views become even more entrenched when you try to challenge them.
Mr. Hussein said Ahmed, also known as Abu Samhi al-Britani, joined what he described as a radical organisation, and he noticed a change in his personality. Did he have anti-Western attitudes and viewpoints?
I think it was more or less anti-everybody. Suicide bombing that he was involved, he ended up killing 7 or 8 other Muslims. So you can see the depth of his intolerance.
In 2012, Kabir Ahmed, a married father of 2, was jailed for 15 months for handing out leaflets calling for gay people to be executed. Kabir Ahmed lived on this road. I've spoken to many of his friends and neighbours, and they've told me they're all shocked by the news. And they're all asking themselves the same question: just how and when did he become radicalised?
These people have been brainwashed. Somebody is behind, big fish is behind, who trying to using these children.
You said he was nice when he was young.
He was nice when he was young.
How did you know him?
Because I was used to be shopkeeper here, and he used passing every time and saying hello, hello, you know, like salam alaikum or everything.
We just thought he had gone to Syria to give aid. This is totally beyond our even, you know, what we can think of. It's something, like I said, I went to see the family yesterday. They're in total shock. They don't know what to make of it. Because as far as the mother's concerned, he's in Syria and not in Iraq, and he went to do aid, and he's got nothing to do with ISIS. This is totally against Islam. It's not something we believe in.
Mr. Hussein says there are hardline Muslim groups who target people like Ahmed.
Back in the 90s, quite a lot of universities were radicalized, or a lot of Pakistani Muslims who were attending universities started associating themselves with radical preachers. These people were quite skillful in terms of capturing new people coming to the universities, and I think that's where he got caught up.
It's thought there are at least 500 Britons fighting in Iraq and Syria. Mr. Hussein says some will be from the Midlands, and they're prepared to kill and be killed for their beliefs. Rajiv Poppert, ITV News, Derby.
And indeed, you're watching ITV News Central with the time coming up to 12 minutes past 6. Still to come on the programme, how a Hollywood star is the winning ingredient for a life-size sponge cake.
And join me for your weather in the Midlands. We've got a soggy week on the way. Find out when we'll see the rain in a few minutes' time.
The West Midlands came to a standstill for Remembrance Sunday yesterday as thousands paid their respects to the war heroes who fought in conflicts and, of course, who paid the ultimate price. Services were held right across the region. You can see more of that on our website.
And indeed, wherever you may be at 11 o'clock tomorrow, then please do send in your pictures of your friends or work colleagues marking Armistice Day commemorations, and we'll show them as part of our coverage on the programme at 6 o'clock. Home sweet home for many of us. It's the one place we feel safe and can get away from everything. Or is it? Well, new research shows our homes and what lurks within them can cause serious health problems.
Here in the West Midlands, nearly half of homes are affected by mould, and there's dust, pet hairs and chemicals in cleaning products that can also affect us, particularly the 26% in our region with asthma and breathing problems, and 13% who have eczema.
Poor air quality where we live and the impact it's having on our health has become known as toxic home syndrome. And as Lauren Hall reports, it's a growing problem.
Whether it's pollen, car fumes or other types of pollution, the outside world has many triggers for allergies and breathing difficulties. But for some of us, the cause could be a little closer to home. Bryony Lang's one of a growing number to experience something dubbed toxic home syndrome. She'd never even heard of it before, but noticed her asthma suddenly got worse after moving to a new house. Cleaning and tidying made no difference, and she soon suffered a very severe reaction.
Within a few days of living in the house, my breathing just deteriorated, got really bad. It feels like just like you can't breathe properly, like a really tightness in your chest, just struggling to get air in really. It just feels like you're just gasping all the time. So yeah, it's not a nice feeling.
Poor air quality in our homes can be caused by dust, mould and pet hairs, as well as the chemicals in furnishings and cleaning products. Bryony found out she'd been reacting to invisible mould spores. She had no choice but to move out.
It's meant to be the place where, you know, you can get away from all of your allergies and things and kind of not need to worry about it. But the fact it was making me so ill was just, it was horrible.
She's not alone. A new study suggests many of us are at risk of toxic home syndrome. Experts warn it's a growing problem, which can affect anyone.
If you've got pre-existing disease such as asthma or eczema or rhinitis or other allergic skin diseases, you are much more sensitive to factors in the environment than people without those conditions. And so relatively low levels may make their condition much worse. And obviously allergy is an important thing that drives those conditions as well. But individuals without any problems can get sore throats, headaches, dry eyes, perhaps even difficulty concentrating, tiredness, if they're exposed to high levels of volatile organic compounds within the home.
Since moving house, Brian is back in good health. She now wants to raise awareness of toxic home syndrome, making others aware of the dangers so they too can breathe easy. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
We've got the national and international news coming up at 6:30, and Alistair Stewart is with us now to tell us what's coming up.
In the hunt for Madeleine McCann, Portuguese police are poised to question new suspects. ITV News understands there are 11 in all, 4 potential witnesses and 7 people of interest to the investigation. In court again, the British man accused of murdering 2 women in Hong Kong. The mother of one says she demands compensation. And Bob Geldof finds new friends to refresh an old classic for the fight against Ebola. More on the latest Band-Aid with Mary Nightingale and me at 6:30.
A former butcher who built up his business and then sold it for millions is fulfilling his lifelong ambition, which is to own a golf course. Colin Crawshaw bought the 18-hole business, which was struggling to survive, and he's turned it into a great success.
Yes, his purchase saved more than 2 dozen jobs and created several new ones. Andy Bevan has the full story.
Set in almost 300 acres on the edge of Sutton Coldfield, it's hard to imagine that 2 years ago Aston Wood Golf Club was facing closure. But the recession meant that for many, membership fees were a luxury and often the first expense to go. Enter Colin Crawshaw, a butcher by trade, who with his brother took their father's Yorkshire-based meat business from a backstreet wooden hut to a chain of 15 shops. Colin sold out a couple of years ago and needed a new challenge for his newfound wealth. One rainy Friday afternoon, he saw Aston Wood for sale on the internet, and 3 days later, he was walking the course.
I came to see it on the Monday, and I decided it was for me, so I bought it on that Monday.
Wow, I mean that's a fairly bold decision, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is bold, but I'm one of these people that if I procrastinate about things too long, I finish up doing nothing. So if I've got something in mind, I either do it or it never gets done. So I went and did it.
Colin forked out £2 million for the club and has spent a further £2.5 million on improvements. Apart from upgrading the course itself, there's a new function suite and a state-of-the-art driving range, complete with robot ball collectors which trundle around picking up the efforts of golfers good and not so good before recycling them for reuse. Aston Wood used to employ 24 full-time staff, most hailed from the Sutton Coldfield area, and all stood to lose their jobs at the end of 2012 before Colin came to the rescue. He's now increased that number to 36, and membership is on the rise too, especially among women players, perhaps encouraged by the club's female professional, whose young daughter is also a budding player.
There's an awful lot of youngsters getting into golf now, from as early age of, I teach some juniors who are 5, 6 years old. Nothing to stop them really getting into golf, as with a lot of other sports.
Colin started playing golf himself when he was 12 with a set of clubs he shared with his brother. Now 56, he says the game is a great way to stay fit, and Aston Wood's brand new golf conditioning centre can help its more senior members maintain and improve things like balance and muscle strength.
I can't say I'm going to help improve their golf score, but what I can really do for senior golfers is increase their longevity out on the golf course so they can keep on playing golf for as long as they want to.
Out on the 17th, this foursome has seen a fair few rounds between them and a fair few changes at the club. All of them are grateful to the Yorkshiremen who saved their favourite way to spend an afternoon.
There's always something good you do in every round. You always get one good hole, and you can talk all day about it, can't you?
You win a bit, you lose a bit, but I don't get upset anymore like I used to.
Aston Wood is still a work in progress, but Colin says he has a master plan for the next 30 years, which will take him well into his 80s.
I guess you don't miss chopping sausages up and things like that.
I enjoyed my career in the meat industry, but that was a moment in time, and I did that for 30 years and I think that was a pretty good stretch, and now I'm doing something else.
No plans to slow down then, but in the life story of Colin Crawshaw, that's pretty much par for the course. Andy Bevan, ITV News.
Yes, clearly going with a swing.
Oh, well done, Sam.
Sorry. Anyway,
takes us nicely into the sport, though, doesn't it?
Yes. And here he is, Steve, with the sport.
Yeah, I've got no golf for you, but I tell you what a weekend we had. I mean, a real weekend of sporting significance. Non-league Worcester beating former FA Cup winners Coventry. That'll be talked about for years to come. Details of that and the rest on the way.
ITV Central Sports Report, sponsored by WeWantAnyCar.com, the Cash for Cars website.
Well, on Friday night, Worcester boss Carl Healy told us he just hoped Worcester would be one of the FA Cup shocks, and he got his wish. The club, who are ranked more than 60 places lower in the leagues than Coventry, took the lead at the Ricoh Arena after Sky Blues keeper Lee Burge was sent off. He had lashed out after himself being caught. Penalty given, and Sean Geddes fired in. 3,000 Worcester fans erupted. Coventry then missed a penalty before Worcester's earlier scorer cemented himself in FA Cup folklore by scoring a second in the 55th minute. Worcester, who don't even have a ground, leading former FA Cup winners Coventry 2-0. The home side did pull one back through Redder Johnson, but this was Worcester's day. Now, what a day. So, to the rest of the FA Cup. Sadly, Norton United, our lowest ranked club, couldn't match the success of Worcester City, but there were some other decent results. We'll come to those. But first, to that Staffordshire team on its day in the limelight. They'd never got anywhere near this in the FA Cup before. Norton United were one of the lowest ranked teams to make it to this stage, but they couldn't overcome visiting conference side Gateshead. The crowd saw plenty of endeavour from the home team, but only goals from the visitors. Alex Robben got the first, and then a hat-trick from Rob Ramshaw, who got two in the first half and another late on. Norton's journey at an end, but so much already achieved. No such problems for Cheltenham Town, though, against higher-ranked opposition. Oh, and they also had a hat-trick hero. Byron Harrison got the first of his 3-goal haul to set the Robins on their way. Swindon then saw their captain Nathan Thompson sent off for tripping Tony Gornell, and it was that man who was tripped who popped up with goal number 2. Harrison got his second in the second half, Matt Richards made it 4-0 in the 72nd, and Harrison rounded off a memorable afternoon 6 minutes from time with goal number 5. Mark Ellis scored in a crowded penalty box to put visiting Shrewsbury ahead against Midlands rivals Walsall. Former Shrews man Tom Bradshaw levelled in the second half, but again the visitors went ahead, James Collins diverting the ball in, now 2-1. But Walsall came back to ensure a replay. Bradshaw, who'd got the first, somehow deflected Paul Jackson's shot in while lying on the floor. Telford also have a replay in store, Robin McLeod putting them ahead after 18 minutes. But Basingstoke, who play in the league below Telford, came back through Chris Flood in the 50th. Port Vale are out. Ben Williamson had put them ahead at home, but MK Dons were soon 2 up. Vale got 2 more from Danny Engesson, but the Dons won it 4-3. Burton were played off the park at Barnsley. The home team got 5, 3 of those from Sam Winnall, who bagged a hat-trick. The final goal came from Devante Cole. He's the son of former England striker Andy. So to the Premier League, and after a long run of defeats, Aston Villa finally managed at least a draw. Not even a point though for West Brom or Leicester, but star turn, as is so often the case these days, from Stoke. Stoke travelled to an informed Tottenham looking for a first away Premier League win in 4, and a brilliant effort from Bojan stunned the home supporters. And Mark Hughes' side weren't finished there. In the 32nd minute, Jonathan Walters had an easy finish. Tottenham pulled one back in the second half through Nasir Chadli. Quite a finish. But any comeback was halted 5 minutes from time when Kyle Norton was sent off, and Stoke are up to 9th. Having lost 6 in a row, an improvement by Aston Villa, who played out a goalless draw at West Ham. Gabriel Agbonlahor had an early chance to score, but the run was better than the finish. Former Villa man Stuart Downing had a sight of goal before the end of the first half, but couldn't put the ball in against his old club. Late on, Brad Guzan made a terrific save from Andy Carroll to ensure his side returned home with a point. A first defeat in 4 Premier League games for West Bromwich Albion, revitalised Newcastle arriving at the Hawthorns full of confidence and finding the back of the net with Jose Perez. And in the second half, another from captain Fabrizio Colaccini, his first goal in over 3 years. A 4th straight defeat for Leicester, and they're in the relegation places. Southampton getting the victory with 2 goals in 5 minutes from substitute Shane Long, the first in the 75th, the second in the 80th, slipping the ball past Kasper Schmeichel. Leicester's best chance to score came a minute from time, but Chris Wood's effort summed up Leicester's afternoon. And to the Championship then. Birmingham continue to look a much improved side under their new manager. But we start with Wolves' trip to Derby. With both pushing for promotion, it should have been close, but it was anything but. Rarely is a game between 2 strong sides so one-sided. But this was pretty much all Derby. Ryan Shotton heading them ahead in the 16th minute. At the other end, George Saville missed a glorious chance to level for Wolves, and his side were made to pay. Jeff Hendrick with a low drive into the bottom corner. Johnny Russell made it 3 before half-time. Wolves' defence, or lack of it, surely called into question. In the second half, Hendrick was set up for his second by Will Hughes, and the result was secured by Russell with his second and Derby's 5th. Gary Rowett has got off to a great start as Birmingham boss, a win and now a second draw out of 3. Wes Thomas looked to have won it, but he was ruled offside. He was later sent off for a raised hand, and the points were shared with Cardiff. And that's all your sport from me. Quite a busy old weekend. And well done to Worcester City. That raised a few eyebrows.
Indeed.
Great news, Steve. Thank you very much. Now, just before the weather, she's making big waves in Hollywood in the latest instalment of the popular Hunger Games film series. But it seems Jennifer Lawrence has also found time to pop into the region. Well, sort of.
Sort of, indeed, because this is a life-sized chocolate and vanilla sponge model of the Oscar winner, made by baker Lara Clark from Walsall. It took her 4 months to make, and it's now earned her a gold award at a national baking competition held at the NEC near Birmingham.
Looks very good, doesn't it?
It
Good
does.
enough to eat.
Well, good enough to eat, but not after 4 months. Right, let's have a look at the weather forecast now. Here's Lucy.
Wishing you a warm winter. Gas Central Heating from Northern Gas Heating sponsors the ITV local weather.
Hello, well, a lovely scene of Lichfield for you tonight. Thank you to Ed Elliott for that. Quite cloudy skies there. And more in the way of cloud as we head through the rest of this week. You'll definitely need your brolly this week. We do have rain on and off as we head through the next few days. You can see, waiting in the wings behind me there, a huge band of rain. It's this that will make its way north and eastwards as we head through this evening and overnight, gradually clearing through the day tomorrow and then making a comeback tomorrow night. So like I say, rain on and off. As for temperatures overnight tonight, well, because of the cloud cover, it's going to be fairly mild. What we would expect at this time of year is around 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. We're looking at 9 or 10 degrees Celsius, so a mild night but quite breezy. So then tomorrow morning, cloudy skies to start the day, a thick layer of cloud across the West Midlands, not much in the way of brightness at all, with rain on and off through the morning, fairly light and patchy. This will clear though by around 11 o'clock. We'll have a spell of dry weather and then more rain will roll in the afternoon. Bye for now.
Gas Central Heating from Northern Gas Heating sponsors the ITV local weather.
And just before we go, let's give you a reminder of tonight's top stories on ITV News Central. More than 20 people, most of them children, have been taken to hospital after their school bus crashed and overturned in Hereford.
Meanwhile, road safety campaigners have condemned two drivers who appeared to bring their vans together on the M5 near Halesowen to pass a drink between the vehicles.
And a special summit has been held in Wolverhampton to tackle obesity. 2/3 of the people in the city are obese or overweight.
Those are our headlines tonight, and that's our news this Monday. We'll be back at the usual time tomorrow. From Sam, from me, from all the team here. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fresh suspects to be interviewed in the hunt for Madeleine McCann. Police say there are 11 in all, 4 witnesses and 7 of interest to the investigation.
Also tonight, the Speaker, Tory rebels and Labour accuse the government of a mess over the European arrest warrant.
What a shambles! What complete chaos!
The mother demanding compensation from the British banker accused of murdering 2 women in Hong Kong. And
a new song from Bob Geldof's Band Aid to help in the fight against Ebola.
This is ITV News at 6:30 with Alistair Stewart and Mary Nightingale.
good evening. ITV News can report tonight that British police have identified 7 people they want questioned as potential suspects in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. It's claimed some of the suspects, 3 of whom are British, knew each other and made phone calls on the night Madeleine went missing.
The questioning will be carried out by Portuguese police, but Scotland Yard officers will be present. Emma Murphy has the story.